All right, hello and welcome back to 1000 Gurus. So today is a special episode, but joining me is my good friend Julie Huynh. Yay, applause. Thank you guys for the studio audience reaction. So today is, we're recording episode number 20. So episode 10 of season 2, episode 20, whatnot. And it's going to be a random show. So instead of our typical like interview format where I bring on a guest, I have a close friend of mine who we have legendary, very long conversations about various things. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to invite someone who I enjoy having long conversations with, and we can just talk about whatever topics that we want. And we also have some special eggnog liqueur from for those listening. You can't see it, but it's from Trader Joe's. It's like a white, milky, creamy sort of liquid, but it's alcoholic. What is it like? 14.75% alcohol.
That's much higher than
Well, yeah, that's why I have shot cups. So yeah, if you can't see it, if you're not video, we'll be drinking this. And yeah, let me just go into how I know Julie as usual, really quick. So Julie and I go way back. We were co-chords for KOP in 2010, 2011 ish.
2002. Yes.
Yeah, 2010, 2011 at UCI. You were one of the small handful of people that we talk a lot, hours at a time. We're both into K-pop, obviously, and dance. We catch up like at least once a year, sometimes even more than that. I really appreciate your introspective nature and how thoughtful and intellectually curious you are. And you're also ambitious, passionate, goal-oriented, all that other stuff. And very open-minded, which I think is why it's always nice to have conversations with you, because we kind of like think, I don't want to say we think similarly, but I think we're both open-minded to like hear about our different perspectives. And we talk about everything from like dance, movies, careers, relationships, goals, society, politics, everything, right? Like just everything. Anything you want to add to that?
No.
Yeah, just that? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, so before we get into our first topic, let us take a little drink of this because I'm kind of excited to try it.
Yeah.
You ready?
Okay.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to...
Cheers to your 20th episode.
Yes, 20th episode. Thank you. Thank you.
Are you downing the whole thing?
I'm just sipping it.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to shoot back 14%.
It is quite nice.
Yeah, right? It's really good.
Wow.
It's like milky, like an eggnog, but like
sweet.
You know, as alcohol does, burns your throat. But
Yeah, but this
I'm
one
just kidding.
doesn't.
Yeah,
For 14%, it doesn't.
You know what's funny? I'm like, I always say that I'm lightweight, but I've been drinking a lot recently, like because like of
Parties?
parties, but I also drink a lot less. But we'll go to AMC, right? And there's like the specialty drinks that they have, and you know, I'm a sucker for novelty stuff. So like for example, they had Wicked drinks, so one like Alpha one Glinda one, Gladiator has its own drink. And then there's these special winter ones, like this rum, yum rum. And it's just like rum, Coke, whiskey with marshmallows on top. And I'm like, well, I want to try it. And so now I've been like spending money on like overpriced AMC drinks.
Wow.
And not because I like alcohol, but I just want to try.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
They have
that
some
was your weakness.
That was my weakness, is novelty things. If you give me a promo or novelty stuff, like I'm all over it.
Okay, that makes sense. The promo, I understand.
Yeah. So, all right. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? Topic?
Okay.
Did I explain the topics already?
No.
Or sorry, not topics, but like the format. Like, so okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and forth. So, we'll start with one of us, and I'll bring out a topic, and we'll just kind of go back and forth and our thoughts on that. Kind of like, you know, what normal like friend podcasts are like. So we'll start with one of us, and then after we finish that, we'll go throw it over the fence, and someone else will ask a question, and they like vary a lot. So we kind of have a brainstorm list.
Okay. Cool.
You got one?
Yeah. Well, since we met through dance, let's start off with a dance related question. I'm curious nowadays, since your dance career has been so long, in present day, who or what are your dance inspirations?
Who or what are my dance inspirations?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a person, it could be a concept as well.
Oh, I see.
What's inspiring you these days?
What's inspiring me? You know what's funny is like I want to say I want to confidently say I'm not inspired by dance.
Nice.
Like
Cross
yeah.
multiple whatever. Anyway, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, like because so I dance regularly on a team, but my purpose isn't for dance. It's for the friendship, the connection, the experience of being with people and like in a collaborative environment. And as a leader on the team, I'm focused on helping create a good experience for them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the reason why I'm there is devoid of my own dance sort of inspiration, which is, I don't want to say it's sad, but it's like I don't dance for me necessarily. Like, yeah, there are routines I'm like, oh, that's a cool routine, Rise is a fun group. I like their choreography, but I'm not inspired that like I love this is why I'm here. I'm here
Yeah.
for my team.
Yeah.
But that's why one of the things I wanted to get back into is freestyle dance because a lot of my dance inspirations are freestylers. And I haven't done freestyle dance in a long time, but that's what's like energizes me, lights me up. If I like had like if I joined like a popping team or something like that, and I like we sessioned every week, that's when I'd be like creatively inspired. But going back to that, like I'm inspired by people like Mike Song when I was in
Mm.
high school, like, Jabberwockies, Kinjas, or Cobble Modern. Obviously, like I had Arnell on last night, or the episode that's coming out right after this episode. Um, and so I talk about like he's my dance inspiration.
Yeah.
But since then, like not really a lot of dance things inspire me. But that's just where it's at, and I'm fine with that.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a different spin, an
Mhm.
unexpected question or
Mm,
unexpected answer to
answer.
that type of question.
Right. How about you? Do you have
Oh,
any dance inspirations or what
uh,
inspires you?
not lately, just because I haven't been in that space for a really long time.
Mm,
Back then I used to watch a lot of videos and respect certain people, things like that, try
mhm.
to emulate whatever it is they're giving off. But these days, I haven't had a lot of bandwidth to explore that. I really also don't have an answer for that.
Just basically, your question is like, all right, what is your dance inspiration? Neither of us have any inspiration. We are uninspired
Neither.
dancers.
But maybe it'll come up in like
Yeah.
30 minutes or something.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
right now, nothing top of mind.
yeah. I mean, I like back in the day. So aside from Mike's song, like Bionic Man, John Biani, he's from the Bay Area. He's a popper. He's
Mm.
Filipino. He like was like a world champion in popping or freestyle dance like years ago when he was like 18 or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
He's still active and he's like a judge and he's like not an OG necessarily, but he's like right after that.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was always one of my biggest inspirations because his style is very like foundational,
Mm.
but also like he still is very dynamic and he does like martial arts too and he's toured with like that Michael Jackson, maybe Cirque du Soleil. It was one of those sort of performance things where they went around the world.
Mhm.
Anyways, he's very amazing. He's one of my like if I were to put it at the top of my list of my dance inspirations since high school, it'd be Bionic Man, John Biani. He's still around too, but it's like, I don't really follow him much, but him and Mike Song are like the top one and two, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, true. I remember there was I'd say a litany of people that I definitely respected back then too.
Mm.
But I don't think I need to drop names or
Yeah.
anything right now.
Yeah.
But I know in terms of just umbrella, I always was very attracted to dancer types that were very athletic
Hmm.
in the way that they perform, and I think they probably work out and condition a lot in
Yeah.
order to be able to show that in their dancing. So that's definitely the level I would aspire to be. But it probably is a lot of hard work,
Mm.
constant conditioning outside of dancing
Yeah.
too. But I always love Lyle Beniga. Always,
Mm.
always, always.
That was good.
Mhm.
Where you at? Where you at? Right? He was in
There was also another. Well,
there. Johnny Bristow and Lau Vaniga, I think.
okay.
But Taeyong? Where you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, some too.
There's so many. I know. Well, I'm not even gonna try to guess, but
You're like, they're out there.
it's out there. But
Mm.
you mentioned earlier about interest in joining a popping team.
Mm.
Any reason why it hasn't happened yet? Is there like a blocker or
That's a
anything?
great question. I think it's more just like not prioritized.
Mm.
It's been on my, if you look at my, like, generally, like if you're looking at, I have these yearly summaries I do, right? Year in review and my
Yes,
20
yes.
like of the whole year. It's been on my goal list to like freestyle more, like for
Mhm.
the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But I think I've just been so bogged down with like my other priorities dance wise. And then I'm trying to do like, start this podcast and like my relationship coaching and everything else, my actual relationship content creating. So I think it's just been so low on the list that it's just like adding a new thing to my routine. And I don't want to like not have that slack in my life.
Mhm.
So that's just the excuse I'm giving myself.
Mhm.
I think I also there's not one easily available. I have to go look for one.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like the activation energy of trying to look for a group that's doing that. I'm sure they're out there,
Yeah.
but and then dedicating that time in a new space and cultivating that relationship or that network. I'm like, I got stuff to do anyways. I don't need to jump on it now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you think it's gonna happen eventually?
I think if I for sure once I leave choreos and I'm
Mhm.
done with that and I now have like a big gap in my dancing,
Makes sense.
then I can like, all right, well, what do I fill this with? Obviously, not more K-pop. I don't need to do that.
Mm.
So probably freestyle dance.
Okay, that's cool.
You know?
Wow, the next chapter, whenever it may happen.
Yeah. Exactly a year and a half from now is when my lease on choreos is done.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a time a fine affinity.
Yeah. It is because like
Fine
I'm trying to
margin.
set the record for being on the team the longest. Right now the record is 6.8 years and I'm at a solid 6 years as of this month.
Oh
So I got
wow.
one more full era to do,
Okay.
but I'll be ending at 7.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious if anyone is gonna try to beat you in the future
You
as
know,
well.
if anyone tries to beat me, they're crazy because who would stay on a dance team for more than 7 years? Like the three of us that have done it, like there are three people who are more like have stayed on choreos longer than I have,
Mhm.
and they're just like super outliers.
Okay.
And so I don't think anyone's crazy as us four to do that.
That
Um,
sounds like an invitation to a challenge.
you know, if you can do that and you can contribute to the team, then all good because it takes a lot out of you to stay on a college team, especially at our age.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really hard.
That is
Yeah,
definitely twice. It's like going to college twice
exactly.
for your call. Yes.
Yeah, so I always tell people like I'm about to get my PhD in choreos because that's a good almost 8 years.
Yeah. That's really
Hmm.
actually pretty amusing to think about.
Yeah, it has its own challenges and pitfalls.
Yeah.
Do you want a topic on my end?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
hear it.
Let's see. Um, Let me ask you a question in terms of we can talk about either K-pop or relationships or people or career.
Ooh, let's start easy. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be. I'm just assuming. Let's do K-pop. Let's see how that
Ah,
goes.
you're gonna hit the hot button here. Okay, so this one
Oh,
it's not actually easy. This is called idol culture, K-pop putting wrong values on a pedestal. This is a very hot take.
okay.
Being on a K-pop team and surrounded by people who love K-pop.
Oh no.
I don't know how to introduce this topic or this question, but one thing that bothers me a lot about people who like K-pop and speaking from someone who likes K-pop is like they put this sort of like idol, like the idol culture, they put them on a pedestal
Okay.
and it's like they will like sell their soul and arm and a leg to go to these concerts
Ah.
and they're like, "Oh my god, this person's so amazing and they're such good dancers." And it's like they're famous. So it's idol culture like with celebrities too, right? But it's
Yeah.
just specifically K-pop idols. And what bothers me is like people will like go crazy over these human beings, but
Mhm.
I'm like they're normal. They're just their job is part of it is being famous and
Yeah.
they aren't actually more talented than other people. There are singers that are 10 times more talented, dancers that are 10 times more talented.
Mhm.
They just happen to be famous because now they're in a company that promoted them and all this people who write their songs and produce their
Mhm.
music.
Mhm.
They're just a part of this machine and not downplaying their hard work, obviously, and they probably have natural genetic talent, whatever. But what bothers me is that people are like, they'll do anything to see these people. And I'm like, you can appreciate the art, but not put the artist on a pedestal
Yeah.
because they're just humans. And so I have a controversial take because I'm like, I could care less if someone walks down the street and they're like an idol from, let's say, BTS, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, oh, what's up, J Hope? You know, how are you? You know,
Yeah.
whatever. But like, these are like, they'll cry, scream, break down. And on the other side, I get that maybe their artistry has impacted you. So you're emotionally, but I'm like, they're a regular human.
Yeah.
And when you see like celebrities in the street or a movie star, it's like they're still a human being.
Yeah.
So for me, I have this weird like people are like, wow, you could just treat someone normally like that. But yeah, because they're human.
Mhm.
So it bothers me that it's like we're putting the wrong values on a pedestal because it's like this is just their job. Their job is to be famous and to do good work, but they're not better than anyone. They're
Yeah.
not better than you. They just train harder, and the reason why they're good at dancing is because that's literally their job.
Yeah.
If you put 8 hours a day into dancing and singing and looking good and learning how to interview and PR, then of course you'd be that good, but you're not because that's not your job.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was my. If you have any thoughts on that, you can completely disagree with me. That's just
Oh no,
I'm not
no,
saying I'm
no.
right. That's just my perspective.
Okay, okay. But the question is just my hot take on it. Right.
Yeah, I would say that because the hot button for me is more like I don't think we should be putting idols on a pedestal.
Mm.
I think we should just appreciate their artistry and their hard work and maybe aspire to work hard like them, but not treat them like they're gods.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
Well, I I do agree with what you are saying. I think it's difficult to achieve
Yeah.
for a lot of people though. But going backwards a little bit, I think it's in the name itself though. They're called idols, so
Right.
it is meant to be that way. That's just
You're saying it's by design.
yeah,
They're meant to be
absolutely.
worshipped as like these,
They yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's like just their persona, everything that they have to represent, it's definitely manufactured so that you do worship them. So they
Mhm.
are doing their jobs.
No, okay, so now the impetus isn't on them for doing the wrong thing. It's for the people who worship them,
Yes.
right? It's like, do you not have? Okay, again, this is all accusatory. It's like, why do you worship and like worry about these people's lives and what they're doing on these variety shows and all their little like things when you have your own life? And are you like doing something that is improving your life for the people around you, or something that actually gives you value or like contributes to the earth, rather than focusing on watching everything this idol puts out? And is like that really healthy for you? So that's the more downstream thought process for me, is like, it is not healthy to worship idols
Mhm.
because you have so much other things you could be focusing on. And maybe I'm not trying to be on my high horse and everything like that,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm trying not, but it just bothers me that it's like you see that, but then you see like some of my friends and like, oh my God, you're so slay and you're amazing, because they're trying to emulate this sort of aesthetic
Yeah.
thing that shouldn't be put on a pedestal. It's like, oh my God, you're just so pretty. And that's another sort of thing. But it's like you're only really getting this attention because of something that's like a superficial thing.
Mhm.
And you can go deeper into that, which is like, sure, superficial parts of this of our nature is like, we want to be around attractive people,
Yes.
whatever. But I'm saying, like, if you're putting aesthetics on a pedestal
Mhm.
and that's your primary value or one of your top values,
Mhm.
like, how does that make you feel as a person when you're not good enough, when you're not pretty enough, because all these idols are manufactured gorgeous,
Yeah.
but you are not? And then we're also hyping up our friends because they just look good, but not because they're good people or they're
Mm.
hardworking or they have good values or they have, morals,
Mm.
but because they are aesthetic,
Yeah.
because we're putting the idols on a pedestal, and therefore we put our friends who are good looking on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's like
Yeah.
I feel like it's a negative cycle of things we shouldn't be doing.
The part about connecting to our friends and putting that prioritizing that aesthetic is a new avenue.
Mhm.
So maybe we can talk about
Yeah.
it some more. But the part that you initially brought up about what was it? The infatuation.
Mhm.
That's why I think psychologically that is really difficult. That's why I said I think it's difficult to extricate yourself from that, because it's so addictive when you see beauty in motion and
Mhm.
you're like, wow, this
Yeah.
they're capable of looking like this, moving like this. And before you know it, you're just 7 days in and you've watched all of their shows.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, not saying that people who do this like have a void to fill,
Yeah.
but I think it's very addictive because it's just so satisfying.
Right.
Like all
It's
the
like
dopamine
gratifying.
is going,
Exactly.
endorphins, all of that is happening. You're just like, wow, that was great to hear. They seem like such a good person. For me, I remember when I was in college, maybe late high school, I was also addicted as well to 2 p.m. By the way,
Mm.
but
This is coming
um,
off of like Julie had a birthday recently and it was 2 p.m. themed.
yes,
So now I'm like listening with that lens of like, she's like, look, 2 p.m. is great though. And I'm like, I don't
yeah,
disagree. I like
yeah.
2 p.m. too. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, so I'm trying to pull from my experience back then is why was I so addicted? And it wasn't because I thought they were just so hot. I just couldn't
Mhm.
like bear to live without seeing them or something. Um, I think it was, with entertainment, they do a good job at engaging with you. So, I think all the normal factors are there. But now as an older adult looking back, I think it's because of the not being aware of the separation, because now I'm able to step away from it and not feel anything
Mm.
because I recognize that that's just a persona. Back then, I never even thought about that these people have their own personalities
Mhm.
outside of it. It's the same with actors and celebrities. So nowadays, when I really enjoy something that an actress puts out, um, it's really hard nowadays too because people are getting canceled all over the place because of things they do in their private life.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, well, does that mean I have to stop listening to their music because now their real life has mixed in with their acting
Professional,
or
like the persona that they
persona?
put out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So nowadays when I think back on, my addiction to K-pop idols back then, I realize I'm like, yeah, I mean, that was just acting in a way. Like they have to act that way. And so now I think the moment you become aware that this is not who they really are,
Mhm.
that they make mistakes, they actually
Mhm.
date
Mm.
people,
Like they are
and
human.
they say awful things, possibly,
Mhm.
have pimples, all that. I think
Idols don't have pimples. What? That's
that's when
crazy.
the facade completely
Yeah.
breaks, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm sober now.
Mm.
Yeah, but when you're just riding that high, it's really fun, and I
Yeah.
think that makes it really hard when you have a fan base
Mhm.
and you have people to hype yourself up, and you're like, yeah, like isn't Junho so amazing, So I think all that is driving that addiction too. So it's hard. I've seen
Mhm.
Korean variety shows where they would talk about like their loved one being so addicted to it that they would not neglect their children. They'd be like spending their savings to go see K-pop stars and stuff.
Mhm.
So in those cases, like maybe there is a void that like they're unhappy. Maybe I don't know. There's something psychological there,
Mhm.
but I do know. I think because K-pop is designed to bring so much joy to people that it could be really hard to extricate yourself from that.
Right. So you're saying like, okay, it's as an environment, as a system, it is hard to escape from.
Yeah,
Um,
because
right.
it's you're supposed to be obsessed.
Yeah, like it's designed, it's engineered to
Yeah.
make you obsessed, and then money, right? That's the
Yes,
point. They
exactly.
want to make money off of you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But I think as people get older, they're supposed to be able to recognize
hopefully.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like if there were only young K-pop goer, like concert goers, and all these people who like would like you know blow up an orphanage to see their favorite idol, right? Like that sort of like level of like dedication. I'm like, they're normal people, right? Like appreciate their artistry, of course, but like they are not the best at what they do, and what you see could be manufactured, like you said. So like, I guess my point is like there are better places to spend your energy and effort that will not only like degrade, I don't know, your self-worth by putting the wrong values on a pedestal, but also you have a lot of life is long, but it's also short. So like you could be
Mhm.
spending your time doing something that actually makes you happy, makes you fulfilled,
Yeah.
building relationships, things that actually give you fulfillment, and not you just see an idol and put that facade on a pedestal is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like there's better things you could be doing. But again, no, I know that's a personal perspective,
It's
and
less glamorous, that's for sure.
well, of course, yeah, it's less glamorous. I'm just saying it's like with the epidemic of depression and suicides and like
Yeah.
not feeling worthy
Yes,
enough.
correct.
I'm saying like the entertainment and the capitalism of that puts those things on a pedestal that make you feed into it so that they can take your money is part of the problem. But
Yeah.
also if you can realize and see that, um, because I found like even with social media, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
longer I'm on social media, the more I see the
Mhm.
values being put on a pedestal. Instagram is
Yes.
really clear with what they're putting on a pedestal is
Mhm.
aesthetics. It's just looks.
Yes.
And that will destroy most of society's sort of like conception of their self-worth.
Yeah. And that's I think answers your question about friends who value like you look great, blah blah blah. And I think it really comes from our cultural
Yeah.
shift with the social media and everything too. I mean, yeah, back then there was like books and magazines specifically,
Mhm.
but now it's just rapid, super exponential. So, I have faith that there's some awareness combating it, but I mean, I don't know, as long as information is traveling the way it is, I think it's always going to be like a fight back and forth. And then for me, my solution nowadays is just to distance myself from it
Yeah.
because if I just get lost in it, then I think you're allowing it to warp yourself. Just can't help it. It's just the way the people are moving.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why like I've said this before, but my princess dream, and a princess dream is like if you could, like
Hmm.
magic lamp, like genie sort of thing,
Yeah,
is to like be a monk and disconnect from all social media.
yeah.
Oh, I would love that so much. Like not have to worry about
Hmm.
seeing other people are up to and putting stuff on a pedestal and trying to show off my life and to get likes or views.
Hmm.
If I could just disconnect and just like focus on my own inner peace and just like serving others, oh,
Yeah,
that'd be so nice. But
yeah.
not right now.
But I think that's the core of it, right? Is
Mhm.
being able to disconnect and self-reflect.
Mhm.
And I think I've definitely heard mentors tell me that society does not allow us to do that.
Mm.
So it's just
Yeah,
getting
bet.
caught up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Did you have another topic? Unless you
Oh
have any other
yeah.
thoughts on that.
Hmm?
You have any other thoughts? Unless you have another
I
topic.
did, but I forgot
Oh,
it.
sorry.
I forgot it though. Oh well. Let's see. Let's see.
Don't mind me while I sip on this eggnog. It's pretty good.
Oh, sure. Okay, here's a random one. What's something that you love to eat that people make fun of you for?
Ugh, that's a good one. Do you have an answer while
Yeah,
I think about?
beets. I love beets
Juju
so
beats.
much. Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, I do love
Start your own
beets.
beat company, Juju Beats.
BEET, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, I love beets. And I think goat cheese is not a very
Oh,
popular
the greatest of all time
thing
cheese.
too,
Yeah.
but the combo of that with beets is
Oh,
pretty good.
I will put that on my list to try. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
intrigued.
in like a salad. It's
Mm.
usually how it goes together. It's because Mendocino Farms
I'm in Donkino.
has and they used to call it Save Drake Farm Salad. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they don't call it that anymore.
Mm.
But there's beets and then there's goat cheese, like a whole like thing in there. So I think it grosses out most people when I
Mm.
tell them about it, but it's the best. And I like there's this Vietnamese beet soup as well. It has like pork ribs, carrots, potatoes, and the rest is beets. So the
It
whole
beats.
the whole soup is just bright red.
Okay, I was about to ask like, what's the color? And like, oh,
Oh
it's a
yeah,
bright red.
it's like
Ooh.
dark, dark, dark,
Hmm.
bright red.
I'm not against beets. I just like never had a reason to really get into it. Like,
Mm.
I'll if it's in a salad, I'm like, I'll eat it.
Oh,
But
okay,
yeah, but nothing.
okay.
Um, but so is that it? Just beets?
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything that like people would make fun of me for. Like, I generally like most things.
Mm.
But, like, I might like some things more than other people do. Like, for
Oh
example,
yeah.
like, maybe let's say
Big.
pumpkin pie. Like, I don't think everyone does.
You like pumpkin
I
pie
love
that
pumpkin
much?
pie.
Let's talk about
Well,
that.
I mean, but I don't think that's crazy because I also know other people who also like pumpkin pie,
Hmm.
and some people don't, and that's totally fine.
Okay.
But so, well, something that Blessy, she's in the other studio, but
Mhm.
something that she likes that I make fun of her
Oh,
incessantly about
good.
is coffee over rice. That's like a Filipino thing in
What?
certain areas or certain cultures.
Mhm.
So I think half of my family does that, but like Blessy does that, and then sometimes we make fun of her. I'm like, ugh, coffee on rice, but
How does
it's a
that?
real thing.
What is it? What? How does it work?
It's like hot coffee,
Mhm.
right? And then just plain white rice, and you just pour the coffee on the rice, and you eat it.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's it.
How did it? Like, how did it first come to
I
be?
don't, I don't know. It's just crazy people just thought of it. And crazy people, aka Filipinos. No, but like when we got on TikTok, people were like, "Oh yeah, I do this." People were like, "Ew, that's gross." So like there actually are a lot of people that um that eat it. Oh, same thing. Balut, like
Mm-hmm.
fermented like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
duck egg.
yeah.
My family eats it. And I always thought it was normal. And then, but I went to college and like half the Filipinos I know don't eat balut.
Really?
So maybe that is one thing. And I just thought it was normal.
Oh,
And to be fair, I don't really eat the fetus
me
thing.
neither.
I
Just the
eat the just
yolk.
the yolk, right? There, the yellow part,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then with salt and then the
Yeah,
juice, you just kind of slurp it up. It's good.
yeah,
Um, so I guess that would be the one thing, but it's not like I eat it often.
yeah. Same, same. It's just so out of the way.
Yeah.
So,
Is
uh,
that a Vietnamese thing, like
what is?
balut, or do you just tried it just for the sake of it,
It
or
is a Vietnamese thing
okay,
too.
okay.
I actually didn't know that Filipinos ate it as well.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know anyone else ate it besides because it was like on Fear Factor like 30 years ago, and then people were
Oh,
like, "Oh my god, they have
a
Filipino food
baby
on Fear Factor!"
bird.
Yeah. Oh my god, Joe Rogan, and then we're like, Filipinos eat this all the time, so I always thought it was normal,
Uh,
but I guess it was just my side of the family falls on that side of the tracks of Filipinos.
mhm.
All right, one of them is I feel like half of these are just like things that either annoy me or they're just hot takes of like about
Oh,
people.
this is the
And I don't
best.
want to like be that guy who just like,
You're
"Ugh,
outing yourself.
I know I'm outing myself. Don't listen to this episode. Listen to the other 19 episodes. So you can keep your facade of how
Yes.
you see me as
See,
this
right?
person. Okay, let's say how about we just okay, relationships
Okay.
or people or dating.
Oh, let's do dating.
Okay. Well, this one you saw this one, but it was like relationships, how to navigate, handle, manage, navigating dating. Um,
Hmm.
I think the impetus for this topic is like I talked to a friend recently, and he was saying how I was like, "How's your love life?" And he goes, "It sucks." I was like, and he's single and he's dating, right?
Mhm.
And he said that like there was this girl who ghosted him recently. They had like 5 dates and everything,
Yeah.
and he's just like, I don't know why. And I think I'm fortunate enough to not be in the shit show that is the dating scene.
Mhm.
But my heart goes out to all you guys trying to navigate that. Um, but I think it's difficult because like in this day. Okay, I guess maybe my question is, what are your thoughts on the dating scene? Both of us are in relationships, but like,
It seems difficult.
yeah,
So I just think because of with the onslaught of
yeah,
technology and already even like 5 to 8 years ago,
yeah,
the the new psychology behind dating apps that it bred was already kicking off. So I can't
mm,
even imagine post pandemic
mm,
what it must be like. Yeah.
yeah. Um, well, now I want to throw in my joke I told you earlier. So earlier today we had a Christmas like brunch thing, and my friend was like, "Yeah, dating apps." I read that like there's a stat on Tinder that 3 out of every 4 people on the app are guys, and 1 out of every 4 are girls. So 75-25, right?
Yeah.
And I came up with a joke, and I was like smirking to myself because I couldn't keep in the laugh. And then I was like, "They're like, just say it." I'm like, "Okay, here's the joke." Well, yeah, I feel like yeah on Tinder, I think I agree with that statistic because whenever I go on dates from Tinder, 3 out of 4 of them are guys. So I guess 3 out of 4 of them are. Yeah. Everyone face palmed, but they all laughed. My friend was like, I'm mad at myself that I laughed at that joke.
All right. Did anybody laugh?
Maybe my delivery sucked, but that was the joke. Blessy
Put
was
in the
laughing.
comments if you
Put in the
laughed.
yeah. Tell me if you laughed. Tell me if I should give up stand up comedy. But Blessy was laughing at me at laughing at myself, not the joke. So
See, that's the best
yeah.
jokes though. The ones where you're just so
Audience of
you're
one.
stupid.
I am definitely stupid. But yeah, so I think like it's tough because of communication.
Mhm.
I think like, there's the availability of
Yes.
people, the facade of availability, right? Because it's
Oh,
not like
what's that?
there's a lot of good catches. Okay, sorry, hold on. Let me rephrase that. I'm not trying to throw people on the bus, but from what people have told me, right? It's like
Okay.
some people who are like jaded by the dating experience are like all the people who are good are taken, married,
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah.
and like all you have are the leftovers on the app, right? And I'm not saying people who are on apps are leftovers. I'm just trying to like the feeling that people have, right?
Yeah.
So there are obviously good people out there, but when you have like the kiddie pool that everyone pees in of like Tinder and like ruins that sort of environment of
Mhm.
like now it's just very low level people who aren't really looking for deep quality relationships. It gets
Mhm.
tough.
Yeah.
And then because they think it's available, they can just jump at the first sign of, oh, I'm not feeling it, and just kind of eject out of that instead of trying to form a real relationship with someone and like figure it out. I know there's a lot of nuance to that. I'm generalizing, right? But
Yeah.
I know it can be tough. But I don't know if you have any thoughts
You're
on that.
saying that would be the mindset of every person in the kiddie pool.
Which is like, there's not a lot of good options.
The ejection part. That's what I was.
Oh, well, I think it's part of like the availability of people. So
Mhm.
like you can get scared and like just
Give up
rule some
altogether.
give up altogether and be like,
Yes.
this person's genuinely good, but because they don't look like a 10 out of 10 K-pop idol,
Yeah.
or they're not 6 feet and have six figures and all that, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or for girls, it's
Yeah.
one thing, or for guys, it's another thing.
Yeah.
And then you just like, well, they don't check boxes A, B, C, and D, so therefore I'm just gonna jump
Mhm.
and again, there's a lot of nuance. I'm not trying to say don't have standards, but I'm saying like
Mhm.
it's not like traditional dating where it's like you have to meet a person and looks can be one factor of it, but on an app, all you see are the looks first.
Yeah, and that's your priority.
And that's your
Well,
priority. Yeah.
and sometimes you're just not aware of it. It's just you can't help but
Yeah.
it's just the way the presentation goes.
Yeah. And then I think some people take that sort of jaded mindset of like, okay, they've been on so many dates, none of them worked out. And then now they're not bringing their best self to that other date.
Yeah.
And that person probably generally was like interested in like trying to see where it goes. But then now you just, you drop the ball.
You're demoralized. for
Exactly.
sure. Honestly, yeah, I don't blame the people who are trying
Yeah.
really hard to put their best foot forward and then getting very demotivated
Mhm.
because after the first couple dates and you're just like, oh, it's just like not working out or people are just um just really bad people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Just
figure out
lower
like what's a nice way to
standards.
say this.
Yeah.
You're just of course it's gonna cast a wide it's gonna change your lens of what's really out there. So my takeaway is it's chance and you
Mm.
just can't give up
Yeah.
depending on how determined you are because yeah, I guess it's just like applying for jobs.
Mhm. Applying for dating.
Yeah, and the more because back then when I was also dating as well, it was very bleak back
Mm.
then. Like even
Mhm.
back then, it was
Yeah.
bleak. So, and over time, I think it was just chance. You just don't know who's gonna crop up, and then maybe it's the right time. Maybe you were in the right mindset where you happen to be able
Mhm.
to be yourself on that date, or that person maybe changed your mind. Like that is just to me just chance.
Mhm.
However, destiny decided to make you show up that day. But honestly, yeah, I think it's pretty bleak. I'm pretty pessimistic about this
Yeah.
one.
No, I mean, same.
Um,
My question would be like, what? Well, I'm gonna give my 2 cents real quick, but then my question for you is like, what are your thoughts on like advice for people who
yeah.
are in the dating market? Like to find their person. And so from that question, I'll say like my personal experience. I've never had a person that I've met through a dating app that like resulted in a long term
Mhm.
good quality relationship. And again, maybe it's just by chance I didn't happen upon good people.
Yeah.
But all of the people who I've dated who are quality, like, let's say matches or relationships, or people who I knew in person or met in person through
Yeah.
people or doing activities that I enjoyed.
Mhm.
Even though I did when I was single for like periods of time where I would be like on dating apps. So just for me personally, it's never panned out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like my question to you.
Advice? Yeah. I mean, I think for me, when you asked that question, the first thing that hit my brain was to diversify
Mm,
your options, is not to put all your eggs into the dating app channel. You definitely still have to be trying to meet people in real life,
Mhm.
because I think the culmination of you putting your efforts out there, I guess manifesting in a way. I don't know if manifesting works for some people, but in terms of just putting yourself out there in different ways, it really already sets you up for some kind of success. Maybe not short term, but in the long run. Like you're going to happen upon it when you aren't really looking or
Mhm.
expecting it. But I think when you focus all your energies into one pipeline and you're hoping things work out, I think mentally you're already in a really bad place mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you feel this sense of urgency and you're like, why isn't it happening yet? Why is everyone like XYZ? But I think when you're just distracting yourself and trying a bunch of different things, then you're so focused on
Mhm.
that when something does happen, you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
where, how, and where?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds very, what's the word?
Ide-
Romanticized,
Romanticized, yeah.
but like I said, I like to compare things a lot to the job hunting
Yeah.
landscape. I think they're so similar.
Yeah. Julie's either looking for a job or looking for a partner. No, she's in a
Yeah.
relationship, but you know what I mean? Like that's your
Yeah,
mindset.
but I think it's honestly very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've sorry. It's your turn for a topic, but now I have like a few thoughts on that because it's like on the topic of like romantic,
Mhm.
right? Like I learned, okay, so I have another definition for romance or romantic, and I learned it from a like a dieting fitness book.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's another sort of. I feel like we talked about this before, but what's your question?
I don't have one. Let's talk about what you were thinking about.
Whoa! But it's your turn
Oh,
though.
okay, okay, okay. Okay, what are some things about present day JR that previous JR, whatever version
Mm,
or what do they call it in the
age time.
event in the Avengers? What are they called?
Timeline
Well, the
version.
previous versions
Yeah.
of you wouldn't believe.
What about the current me that my
Re-
past self
yeah,
wouldn't believe?
yeah, like if your past self saw you now, they'd be like, "Wow, like I can't believe you are blank blank blank."
That's really hard. As someone who self reflects constantly, I can't even think of a good question because looking back, I romanticize the idea that I'm still the same person I was a long time ago.
Mm,
Like I was reading an old journal entry of mine from like when I was 13,
okay.
and like it's so very spazzy, ADD, like quirky. And I laughed at all of his jokes. I'm like, this is funny. This kid is hella funny. My 13-year-old self. So like I feel like we
Oh,
vibe, you know?
that's so
Right. And
wholesome.
so so my thought on that is like I feel like I haven't changed much. Like when I went to my high school reunion like years back, our 10 year, and people were like, man, Jared, like you really haven't changed, but like not in a bad way, like meaning like
Wow.
you're the same person. But obviously we're all older, more experienced, and more quote unquote wise.
Mm,
But I appreciated that sort of feedback from people that like I'm still the same person, like my same stupid jokes, same mindset.
true. I'm trying to think about the you that I knew in 2012.
Mm.
You're right. You are
Yes,
actually the same.
consistency. We love it.
Yeah, you're just obviously more successful as time passes.
I would hope so. I don't
Yeah.
know. I won't label myself as successful, but I feel like I'm at least doing things that I feel like I want to do,
Hmm.
which it's my definition. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer it. Like, I mean, I could say like, oh, I'm surprised I'm doing all these things, but maybe my past self either didn't care, or I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I always wanted to do stand up comedy, or like, oh, podcast, that makes sense. You've always liked learning and teaching,
Uh-huh.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Or dancing. I've always like, well, not always, but like I've been dancing for a long time. So I don't know if it's like I would surprise myself. Is my thought.
When did you start dancing and how did that happen?
I think it was like middle school
Okay.
where my sister danced first, and then
Mm.
I was watching music videos like Omarion and B2K, and I was like, oh, let me learn how to dance. And my sister's popular, and I want
Oh.
friends, so let me learn how to dance too. And so now, like 20 years later, I don't have friends, but I still dance. I can dance. That's a joke, but
It's a really funny joke.
I like, yeah, thanks.
Like I couldn't even physically laugh out
Oh.
loud. That's how funny it
Like,
was.
I don't have friends still, but like at least I can dance. But yeah, no, I tried to dance because I wanted friends. But
Mm.
yeah, music videos and then just joining dance team and following my sister's footsteps and also being Filipino is part of that, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's how I started. But it was cool because I was thinking about this yesterday, like the feeling of dancing. Sorry, I was listening to a Trevor Noah and Simon Sinek podcast, like I mentioned, and there's like, what is the earliest childhood memory that you had that you felt really happy?
Oh.
And this isn't to answer that question, but I do remember at the high school, my middle school dance,
Mhm.
the feeling of I'm freestyling and people are like, "Wow, Jerry, you can dance," and I'm like, "Wow, this is the thing that's defining me. Like makes me stand
Ah,
out." And it
Yeah.
felt really good to feel unique. And
Mhm.
since middle school through high school, that was the thing that separated me from people, was like, I'm the dancer,
Mhm.
because a lot of my other friends didn't dance.
Mm.
And so that was make me feel special. And I think I leaned into that a lot.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, I need to throw any of those topics or questions over to you. So, like,
Oh.
things that surprise you, or how did you start dancing, or
Ooh.
any of those
Well,
things.
I was gonna
Yeah,
well,
go.
I
Sorry.
was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
do you think I've changed in the
Mm.
last 10 or so years that you've known me? And
No.
I'm taking
Yeah. Yeah.
critical
Oh no, for
feedback
sure,
too.
for sure. Julie's always open to critical feedback. No, I don't think so. I think you are generally the same. Like
No
you.
way.
Yeah. I don't like. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's
I
just
don't
my
know.
perspective. Like, I think you're the same, because, like, we started dancing K-pop, and you have the same sort of mindset mentality. I think the only difference is I know you've been through more stuff because we've talked.
Oh, yeah, just a bunch of just random life. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But I think temperament, I think mindset, I think, like, how you are as a person, I don't think
Mm,
has changed.
okay.
And I think, I don't know, what drastically changed people, like, like events that, like, make them like, wow, they used to be so happy and now they're all sad, or
Yeah.
like they used to be like blah but now they're serious, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like you're very similar to before.
Mm, okay, okay. It's true. I think I must have asked someone that a long time ago,
Mm.
and they say, "Well, you look the same." And
You don't look much different. I mean, I
yeah,
know you're older, but
yeah. Um, but past me, probably. Well, I'll say in my 20s, I was mostly stressed all of the time and
mm,
under a lot of pressure. And I don't think that past me would have thought that I would be less stressed in the
mm,
future. So I think I've achieved a lot more freedom in certain things in the last, say, to 4 to 5 years. So I feel happier. So I think the things that made me happier now, I don't think was possible from
mm,
before. Because I just, like for one thing, like I'm an only child, there's a lot of pressure, filial like things. And so I've been able to sort all of that out. And I didn't think I would be able to get to that point.
mm.
Yeah, it was very stressful. So I
What do you think helped you? Is it just intentional effort to sort those things out, or do you think something helped out with that,
um
or advice mindset
help, having seeking help.
Oh, seeking like external help, like not just
Yeah.
okay,
Like
gotcha.
I guess I was fortunate that there were people like family members who were able to help me get out of places where I felt stuck. Like career, I remember when I was younger in college, I felt stuck in having to go with a certain career that was forced upon me. And like I personality wise, like I didn't grow up like with a rebellious nature, so it was not natural for me to say no or set boundaries. So I always felt like I needed to achieve this on my own. I needed to carry this out on my own. So seeking help was not something that I also turned to very easily.
Hmm.
So the fact that I was fortunate that there were players around me who decided to intervene and essentially save me and say like, no, like you shouldn't be doing that because we know what you really want, and so we're gonna help you advocate for yourself. So and that helped me later on, in terms of family stuff too. So and so those are the things that made me kind of surprised. Like I never really thought that those things were possible for me because I thought that my life was already planned out for me, and I was
Mm,
gonna be stuck that way for
yeah.
the rest of my life. hmm
Mm,
let's see what else. What else did we ask? Oh, how I got started dancing.
mm,
Also music videos, but
mm,
not BTK, but in sync.
mm.
Yes. Who is that choreographer that did Bye Bye Bye? He used to come with DVDs. Maybe Sean. His name? Nope, not Sean. But either way,
Shawn Michael, Anthony. I'm just throwing out
yeah,
names.
there was DVDs back then where they would teach you the choreography to
Oh,
Bye Bye
and that
Bye.
was the choreographer.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was his
interesting.
DVDs, and so I remembered trying to learn all the dances.
Yeah,
And Jessica Simpson and probably Beyonce.
yeah.
They were their concerts were on TV all the
Darren
time.
Henson.
Oh, that's his name,
Yeah,
Darren Henson.
so close,
Yeah,
so close.
like that's nowhere close to
Sean,
Shaw.
Darren, same thing. Was that the guy?
Darren.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's definitely him.
nice.
Yes, I learned Bye 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 from him, and it's
Wow,
gonna be me. Yeah.
nice.
So yeah, it was music videos as well. I wanted to be a backup dancer
Mm.
for stars, but then I saw that they wore midriffs, and I was like, my
You're
father
like,
would discipline me.
you're like that
So
is a deal breaker.
yeah, I can't
Sorry.
do this pursue
Can't be a
this
professional
career.
dancer.
Yeah. They got too many midriffs.
Yeah.
Can't-
Dang.
Yeah.
So in an alternate universe, if we were able to wear midriffs, you could be a backup dancer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What was it? There was another question. There was a third one.
I don't remember.
That's
I'm
okay.
very tipsy.
We can keep going.
So topics either dating and or over investing. So basically the secrets of
Oh,
dating of an
okay.
attraction and romance. That's like something I love talking about.
Okay.
Separate romance, the definition of romance.
Okay.
And then third, conditional versus unconditional love.
Ooh, let's answer all of it.
Which one do we start with?
The one that you're really excited about.
The dating?
The other one. Secrets. No.
The secrets of dating and
Attraction.
attraction.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay. So I can spend hours talking about this topic, but okay. So people like, how do I start this? I learned this in the book, and maybe I'll link to it in the show notes. But um, there's these books that I read that were made by Venusian artists, or like pickup artists,
What
like
is-
Venus Venusian artists.
Oh.
And a lot of it is very like shady, very like scummy sort of principles. But the psychology and the social dynamics make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Meaning like I'm not trying to be like what's that dude's name that like he's bald and he's like very like toxic men culture. Forgot his name. Anyways, but it's like very like alpha males, right? But like grain of salt, just listen to like the psychology, which is like there are 3 phases of dating. Whenever I talk about dating, is like it's like the attraction building phase, the comfort building stage, and the intimacy building phase. And when people try to jump straight into like let's say stage 2, which is like comfort building, like I want to be your friend, I'm gonna be super nice to you. You skip the attraction building stage, and then they don't feel anything for you, and you're just a friend. Or if you start off as friends and then you try to revert to dating, they're like, wait, the status quo is that we're friends. So you have to build the attraction first when you first meet someone and build that relationship, and not jump to comfort building. But if you also jump to intimacy building too fast, then you're just either friends with benefits, but they don't want to be your friend if you just jump from phase 1 to phase 3.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that people have to understand is like you can't just date someone and just be nice. And I'm not saying like not being nice is the bad thing, but I'm saying there's like an order to it that psychologically makes more sense to people.
Okay.
Because it's like as much as you might love this person, you're like they're great, but you're like, but I don't feel a chemistry or a spark. It's because you or they jumped past phase 1 into comfort building. And comfort building is like the things that friends do. Attraction building is different. So what attraction is how I conceptualized it from what I've learned, is like it can be manufactured, and it's like mystery, anxiety, like things that make you question. And like how do you fall in love with someone? It's not usually at one point in time, but it's over time. Is by thinking about them all the time. Is what do they think about me? And now you're thinking about what they're thinking about, and now you fall in love with them over time. And exactly, you're obsessed with them. And that how do you make someone obsessed with you is not transparency. Because if you tell them everything on your mind, you show all your cards, they're like, I know what you're thinking. I know you like me. There's no mystery. I'm not going to think about you.
Yeah.
But if like you're hot and cold, it's like the bad boy that people fall in love with, or the girl who's really out there and like you're not sure what they're thinking about. That's the person you're going to be thinking about all the time, because you're like, how do they feel about me? They were warm and then they were cold, and I'm on this emotional roller coaster. They give me anxiety, but then they make me feel good, but then they don't talk to me and they're talking to other people.
That's crazy.
Right. And so that mystery anxiety is what makes you obsess over them. And it's like that sort of one night stand feeling of like, oh yeah, you want to sleep with this person because they switch all of these emotional triggers into you.
Yeah.
And like, that's how you build attraction. It's exciting, right? And so therefore my advice usually, or like how I approach it or how I tell people conceptualize it, is like when you're dating someone, you're not trying to be an asshole, but you're not trying to be a goody two shoes nice person, quote unquote, because that's not going to build the attraction. It's going to be like being your authentic self, speaking your truth, and being bold with your opinions, and like, but being respectful, obviously like with integrity, but knowing the social dynamics of what makes people think about you and how you build attraction is confidence, not being needy. That's the biggest thing, is when people are like very, very needy, and needy, you can define that yourself, but it's like overinvestment in someone and saying, oh, you want to hang out? I'm so available for you. As opposed to I'm busy because I have my own life and priorities and purpose, but I do like you and want to be with you. And so you're your authentic self, but you're not needy. You don't need them at all. And I think that sort of mindset, mentality, or stance will make you more attractive than someone who's so comfortable, so available, such a nice person, and they're just so bland. That person gets ghosted 10 times out of 10, or some sort of high percentage, right? Like the person I was talking about earlier that like got ghosted, he's a very nice guy. I don't know how he does on the attraction building phase, but I know he's comfort building phase, he's really good. We also have a mutual friend of ours. I won't out them, but this person is also very, very good at the comfort building stage. But he doesn't build attraction, and then the girls just kind of lose interest in him. And I'm like, you're a nice guy, but you need to learn how to do phase one, which is building that attraction, having that charisma,
Yeah.
and then you can go on the other phases.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a very long tangent.
No, but I love it. Like
concise.
hearing you talk about it every time.
The other thing, there's another concept that's more people in relationships, which is I learned this from a book, Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. Highly recommend it. It's a very good book. I think we've talked about this once or twice, but there's two petals in a relationship where like I've fallen in this with an ex of mine where it's like we had a lot of, we were together for a long time, but we fell out of it because there's two petals, right? There's comfort building, and then there's the erotic, which is the intimacy. And the erotic is the same thing as like the mystery, the attraction. That's how you have that spark, right? With some couples that go through all of this, like they get to a point where it's like they don't have any love life in the bedroom, right? Or like they just feel like, okay, we don't have any attraction, but we love each other deeply. But it's because they're not pushing on the pedal of the erotic building. And erotic building is created in space. Meaning if you're always with your partner, like every single second of the day, right? We talked about this, like every single second of the day, there's no space between you. You don't have different circle of friends. There's no space the erotic between you is the space. Yeah. So the more space you have with someone, the more eroticism there is. And with dating, that mystery person, you have a lot of space with them because you have no comfort with them. Yeah. So therefore there's a lot of eroticism between you and them. And that's why one night stands are easier. But with your partner that you've known so intimately, it's hard to build the erotic if you're always so together. Yeah. So her recommendation, and she's like a couples therapist and has been doing work for a long time. So I highly recommend her work, Mating Captivity, Esther Perel, Erotic Intelligence, is that you always have to have your own circle of friends, you have your own priorities, and you obviously come together and build that space, but you need to also build space between you two, like separated. Because then otherwise you're going to kill that part of it. But then you go back into the comfort building and you need to spend time together, be transparent, have those talks where you're comfortable with each other. But then like, let's say in the bedroom, like having more space and like having the erotic, building that, you need the two petals. Yeah. And so a lot of couples might, if you've been together for a long time, you might only be pushing one pedal of the comfort building, but not the erotic building. Yeah. I feel like that's that paradigm changed the way I see it as well. Cause I feel like that's very important for couples to know is like, if you're, you need to build the comfort, but also if you get to that phase where it's like you've been together for years, you need to also build the erotic in your relationship to keep it alive because it'll die. And as soon as you like stop having intimate moments in the bedroom, that's for me, like I've experienced that where it's like, that's when your relationship will start to die.
Yeah. And then you start becoming just friends.
Just friends. Exactly.
Yeah. Going back to the beginning when you were talking about those 3 stages, probably having to go in that order. Do you think that originates from just how humans have always just operated? Like, do you think it's
like if it's nature, like natural or hard coding or whatever?
Yeah. Or do you think that it was man-made, that transition?
I want to say because it's psychology and social dynamics, I want to say it's like natural. Because if you think, okay, that book also, again, I don't really recommend the book, but you can read it for like knowledge, which was Mystery Method by Mystery. It is like I said, those guys by Mystery. It's a student. It's like his name. Mystery is his name, but he's a pickup artist in like the early 2000s or something like that. Okay. Again, a lot of that book is very scummy. And then the people in that sort of era are very scummy because they would like pick up women and sleep with them and all this other stuff, right?
Outdated and stuff.
Exactly. And so like, but like the principles, like I can understand why they worked for them because they were successful in finding women in bars and sleeping with them, right? Yeah. So I think it's more nature because like, the whole like curiosity and like again building sort of that erotic and then going through those phases because people want to romanticize. I found my soulmate, but I'm like, a lot of people proved that you can manufacture all of these things. And being like a logical person myself, I'm like, okay, I vibe with that. Like, I don't think it's just a magic in the air. Yeah. You just fall in love with someone. I think you can manufacture that because social dynamics is even though it is an art, can be a science too.
Yeah. What's the difference to you?
Love what? Like
the art versus the science.
Well, I mean, I think it's because like people are different, right? But then it's a science meaning like if someone can prove systematically they can pick up people and make them fall in love with them and sleep with them, then I feel like that is a science, right? Yeah. Because like, look, I can show you the method. It's called the mystery method.
It's formulaic and
exactly,
not necessarily skill.
The great thing about it is that the end of the book, the writer, he was like a journalist. He went undercover for 2 years, and he wrote a book called like The Game. That was
Mm.
the famous one. And then the second part of it was The Truth. And long story short, TLDR, the conclusion is he's like, yeah, being a pickup artist, no fulfillment at the end of that road. You will be
Oh,
very insecure. You have terrible relationships. So he's like, the second book was like him going full circle and being like, I had to work through myself in therapy and all this other stuff,
really?
and realize that that short term chasing, being good at picking up women
Hmm.
did not lead anywhere, and it left me feeling empty. And now building a relationship with my actual wife, and like, the relationship that he found
Yeah.
gave him way more fulfillment, because all the pickup like, you can learn how to pick up women and sleep with them all you want, but that's a dead end.
Hmm.
And he says no, it's actually loving yourself and building actual relationships and respecting people, and like
Yeah.
understanding that
Okay.
is the real like gold at the end of the pot of the gold, end of the rainbow. So that's like the happy ending, is like, I don't recommend anyone do that.
Mhm.
And the author himself, who was a very good pickup artist, says too, he's like, no, don't do it.
Okay.
Like, it's gratifying to think, yeah, I can figure out how to make people want to sleep with me. But he's like, no, don't do it.
No.
Trust. None of us are happy, is what he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is actually kind of a wholesome
Yeah.
end to the story.
I'm glad it turned out that way. I'm glad he didn't end up
Whoa.
happy and stuff.
Yeah.
He had to
While
work
you were
through some
talking about
stuff.
that, it wanted me to hear your take on. Have you heard the song "Bad Habits" by Usher?
I think so. If I hear it, probably.
Well, I
It
think
goes,
this.
bad habits.
Right.
Just kidding.
Okay, so I think this is a very common theme in a lot of the R&B
Yeah.
songs that I listen to, where you're already in a committed relationship, but you just can't help, but you have this bad habit where you want to keep looking, and you have like this side person that you rendezvous with, and even though you love your main person,
Yeah.
it's just like a habit you can't kick.
Mm.
So Usher's song is just about how he loves his main person so much, and he feels so terrible, but he just can't help like
Right.
wanting to buy a bag for
habit.
this,
Yeah.
other lady. I think that's what the song is. Maybe never
She's
mind.
just projecting. She's
Yeah.
like, this is a great song, but
Yeah. So I'm curious. There was something you said earlier that made me think, why? Oh yeah, because I was thinking about, he was saying pickup artist.
Mm.
It's not like there's just no fulfillment at the end.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about, well, what about the individuals where not only are they maybe doing it lifelong, or the ones where they just can't kick the habit? Like, where do you
Mm.
think that comes from, or why?
You mean like why people want to pick up people, or people want to?
Like, why does Usher feel that way?
What is he feel?
Well, not him
Oh,
personally. I'm sure he's just
like, why
saying.
do people like feel that? I think it's just a sense of insecurity, right? Like, they feel like they're
Okay.
not getting their needs met,
Oh,
and or like, okay, so I don't disclose this, but like, okay,
we can
I
subvert.
was insecure when I was younger, obviously, and I wanted to learn how to get girls to like me. Let me just throw that out there and be honest, right? And so I knew that me wanting to get good at people getting people to like me
Mhm.
was stemmed from insecurity.
Okay, true.
Because I
true.
didn't love myself enough,
That's
and
a
I felt like I wasn't enough,
relatable.
right?
Yeah.
Now I'm glad to say that where I'm at now, I'm very secure, and I love myself, and I love the people around me who care about me. But like,
Mm.
back then, I wanted that gratification of people to say, "Oh my god, I really like you," and or specifically like people who I thought were pretty to like me back.
Yeah.
And I didn't even necessarily want to like them,
Mhm.
but it was just because I was so insecure,
Yeah.
right? And so I think maybe that's why I'm like so big into like relationships and stuff like that, because it's like that was like where I messed up. And now that knowing that's like, it's when you go to the dark side and
Mhm.
learn the dark side, the power of the dark side,
Mhm.
it's because you're missing something, and I feel like it
Okay.
stems from insecurity.
Is that different from needing validation to you?
No, I mean, I
The
think that's
very
it.
the same?
Validation, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because if you're not self-validated, if you don't not validated in your spirituality, in your
Mhm.
family, in yourself, self-love, of course you're gonna want it from other people.
Yeah.
And so when we crave that validation from others, it's because you're insecure.
Yeah.
Um, Easier said than done, and we're all insecure. So I'm not trying to talk down on anyone, but it's just like, work on it and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Anything else? We're wrapping up on time.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm sure there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much. Well, obviously, episode 40. We can
Yeah.
continue this.
We only have room for one more question, or we're
Sure.
really
Yeah.
at time?
One more question.
One
Do you
more
have anything
question.
else?
You want it to be like a serious one, or
Anything
okay.
sufficiently buzzed?
Okay. When you go to a new boba shop or tea
Mm.
shop, what's your thought process
Oh my
on
God.
choosing one? Like, how do you choose, this is what I'm going to order?
Um,
what's your
Because like some people do like go tos, like oh, this is my go
yeah,
to. Some
or it's a
people are
safe
like, oh yeah,
one?
because like what's a safe one? What's a go to?
Mhm.
What's the special here? Like
Yeah.
the name is called XYZ Boba. Oh, let me try the XYZ Boba on the
Mhm.
menu, right?
Yeah.
Like I might default to that, like they're special, or like if they have a matcha latte or a strawberry matcha latte or just a regular fruit tea,
Okay.
I won't be disappointed because those are usually the same,
Okay.
but I also won't be surprised.
Okay. So
So
those are your
those are
your
my
safe.
those are my three safe ones, which is
Okay.
either the special, what they're
Okay.
known for, or matcha latte or a fruit tea.
Okay.
What about
But
you?
then I know you are someone who documents and also you document your stats for a
Mm.
lot of things too. So in terms of patterns, do you find yourself going for safe more often, or you're always trying to like try something
Oh.
new, but you think it's gonna be great, or I don't know.
Oh no, I think like it's like 80-20.
Okay.
I'm disappointed 80% of the time by new choices, and 20% of the time they work out.
Yeah.
And then so therefore 80% of the time I'll choose my safe choices, and 20% of the time I'll so it's an 80-20 rule both ways.
Okay.
That's what I feel like. And maybe I'm just pulling that on my ass, but
Okay. So 80% you are going with. I know this is gonna
probably.
make me happy.
Probably, yeah. What about
Okay.
you?
I always try new stuff,
Mm.
knowing that it was probably going to be disappointing, but the curiosity is so great
Ah,
that I'm like,
mm,
I'm willing to just go for the
nice.
herbal teach shabu
Yeah, yeah,
broth. So instead of, what's probably recommended, like the house special,
yeah.
I'm like, forget the house special. Like that's just gonna be
Yeah, yeah.
what is it? Expected, right? So yeah, I guess that just sums me up as a person
Mm,
probably. Is
nice.
just seeking the unknown no matter what happens.
Yeah. That's funny because I feel like my approach is also sums me up as a person too. I'm
Yep.
more like safe, risk mitigation. But on that topic too, I just mentioned it before we started recording with like my AMC alcoholic drink
I
addiction.
think we started with
Did
that.
we start with that?
I don't know
I'm
if it
so
was
buzzed
on
now. Yeah, if it
camera.
was on camera. But
Ooh.
like my weakness is novelty stuff. So if you tell me seasonal, if you tell me like limited time only, if you tell me it's a specialty for this
Okay,
thing,
okay,
I'll be like, okay, just take my money. I want to try this.
okay.
I don't care if I like it or not. I
You're
want the
for limited
novelty of
time.
it because the scarcity, I'm fear of
That
loss.
is hilarious.
Cause
The
like,
scarcity.
yeah, I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna be away sometime soon, so let me just try it. And then it's
Okay.
even if it sucks, I'm like, I tried it. It sucked. Don't try it. Like,
But at least I
I want to
tried
know
it.
for myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why when people give good or bad movie reviews, I'm like, okay, it's probably bad, but I'm still gonna watch it. Same with good ones
Because
because it's like I want to know for myself.
okay,
But
yeah.
again, I don't know if those are the same parallels, but like for novelty stuff, I'm a sucker for. But for movies, I will
Mhm.
still watch it if there's something that intrigues me about it. The
Okay. Yeah.
the actors, the director, or the concept, I'll still
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people are like, oh my god, this big movie. People hate it. I'm like, well, I'm still gonna watch it. People put a lot of effort into this big budget movie,
Oh.
or like it's a brand name or something that I know or an
Yeah.
actor that I like.
Yeah.
Maybe it does suck, but I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you wanna see
I'll see
what
for
it.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust people's reviews sometimes. People
Yeah.
just overhype things.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Last words or thoughts?
No,
We're
just
about at time.
congratulations as always. It's an honor
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Thank you. Thank you for
Man,
being here.
that was really cool.
Yeah,
Really
and I like the eggnog. This was fun. I'm a little more buzzed than you, but like I feel good. All right, we'll sign
Thank
off
you,
then.
JR.
Thank you, Julie, so much for being here. I appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this random show talk. If you guys are listening to us anywhere, comment, subscribe, please. I don't do a call to action usually, but I'll do it now since I'm kind
No
of buzzed.
way.
But also, like, if you have any suggestions for topics, recommendations, group, like people you want to send my way, just DM me, message me, like the pages anywhere, comment. I'll see it. Um, yeah, recommendation for anything. What did you like about the episodes? What do you want to see more of, less of? Stuff like that. So just let me know. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'll do my regular sign out. So thank you guys for tuning in. Reminder to always be kind to yourself, others as well as yourself, especially, and that know that you can always learn something from someone if you take the time to listen. So thank you guys for being here.